What's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy StephenMotivate back again. Super excited about today's episode. Hopefully, you've been watching the journey where we're coming and we're interviewing. We're talking about entrepreneurship, life. We're talking about all things as it relates to our journey here as we take up time and space on this beautiful God's green earth. So, super excited about today. We have a special edition, a special guest. Good friend of mine. I call this guy my chief consultant. There's not a decision I'm making in business where I'm not talking to him. He's also my coworker and actually boss as it relates, to that. And just a good guy in general. He's taught me a lot about fatherhood, about living life. He knows all types of, you ever meet a guy that just knows stuff? He just knows what names of screws and all types of stuff. And so, good friend of mine. Without any further ado, welcome to the journey, Dan Koeth. What's up, Dan?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Thanks for having me.
Man.
I guess they kind of say jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah,
Right? So,
there you go.
I guess that's where I kind of fit in. Know a little bit about everything, but not a master of any of it. So,
well, I've been, and seriously, you've been a big blessing to my life in many ways. So I'm not going to try to make you tear up on here, but thank you. It works, if I've never told you,
I think it works both ways, right? I mean, we complement. We've talked about it hundreds of times. The way we complement each other, and so learning is a two-way street for both of us. I mean, we've both, I think, learned so much in the 8 years we've known each other, 9 years, whatever it is now.
Yeah. But what's funny about that is that a lot of people don't, they're not good at reciprocating that sort of learning. So how we met, right? We met when I was working at Lowe's and you were kind of calling on me. But one thing about you never treated me like, and I don't think you treat people like this in general, but even though now, and I report to you in one part of our lives, you've never treated me like a underling. You've always been like very much, just you treated it like my ideas and my thoughts with respect versus kind of dismissing them because I'm younger, don't have as much experience, etc.
Well, I'd say it's kind of twofold. So number one, you can learn from people of all ages, right? I learn from my kids daily.
Yeah.
A lot of times I learn what I don't do so right. But the other part about it is being in sales and dealing with some old school customers back in the day. They were very arrogant. You do this way, and I never really kind of subscribed to that vibe that they would give. I always felt like I should be treating people the way that I want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I try to do that in everyday life, but especially in business. I think it helps create that bond. Definitely puts people at ease, and that it's not everything has to be a real rigid business structure.
Yeah.
I think people, especially if you're in sales, people are more receptive to that. I like this person. They're not just trying to sell me stuff. They have my best interest at heart with my business.
Yeah.
And so it really helps build that bond with either your customer, your coworkers, whoever it may be.
Yeah. Well, I've told you this too when we've talked in the past. I grew up, thinking, and in some ways I still think this, I've got to be like overly professional in order to be taken serious. I've got to, have the suit on. I got to have the tie on, or no one's going to take you serious. You've always got to say the right thing, and you've taught me that, in many cases, you don't have to be so stuffy.
Yeah, you don't have to be. I mean, there's a time and place, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to is, especially at work, I like to joke around. I like to have a good time. I don't want to say I'm unprofessional, but I wouldn't be considered what most would consider professional at all times.
Yeah.
Again, I like to joke around and have a loose atmosphere. I think you truly get to understand people, and especially from a business standpoint, I think it's not always about money. Don't get me wrong, the money is a big part of it, but certain people want certain things out of going to work every day, work-life balance, or a relaxed atmosphere where they're not on edge all the time, or they feel like they have to report exactly at 8 a.m. and cannot leave before 5 p.m. or whatever that may be. I think you get a lot more productivity out of people and yourself if you're not as on edge.
Yeah, not on edge. No, that's great. How much, and we've talked about this, how much do you think this is connected, or maybe I've only mentioned this, is connected to race? Because with you being a white male and me being a black male, I brought this up to you. I'm like, well, maybe you feel more comfortable because maybe you haven't had to, or you don't even, maybe whether it's true or not, whether people are racist or not, we're not even dealing with that. But the preconceived notion that if you're a black male and I'm going into a business or I'm about to make a sale, that I've got these notions in my head that I've got to be on edge. Because how much do you think that plays into the fact that you've been able to kind of relax and teach me to relax because of the color of your skin?
Well, yeah. So you and I have had numerous conversations about this, and I think I've told you plenty of times, just be yourself, because I know who you are, and it doesn't matter color your skin or how you dress. You and I dress totally different, especially for business, right?
Yeah.
So I
very nicely.
Oh yeah, and I've complimented your whole family dresses nice. I go, I'm jealous. I don't have that sense of style. But at the end of the day, I think being who you are is the most important.
Yeah.
At least I know who you are. You're a good guy. You mean well. That should shine through in every business, interaction that you have. So I personally, with the difference in the amount of color that we both have or don't have, you know what I'm saying? I don't take that into account at all.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're moving as a world or a country in that direction where that doesn't matter. It's what what your heart intends, all these other things.
Yeah. Well,
so.
I will say, and this is especially for our audience, like me being a black male, I have learned a lot from Dan to just calm down a little bit, and to, if people won't accept you for who you are and how you show up, and this doesn't mean to show up unprofessionally and to totally be loose and, like you mentioned, there is a time and place for everything, but like, it's okay to make people smile. It's okay to not only is it okay, it's actually preferred, because just as on edge you're trying to be on your side of the table, if you kind of relax a little bit, joke a little bit, get folks laughing a little bit, it kind of calms down other people on the other side of the table.
It's actually a benefit, in my opinion. If you can get people to relax and laugh, I always start out with a joke of some sort. Most of the time, it's self-depreciating joke, something about me, or whatever. It helps people feel at ease. I don't do it for that reason. I do it because that's who I am, and I like joking around, and I'll make fun of myself, and it's fine. I'm confident in what I do and who I am, that I can do that.
Yeah.
And once people see that, I think they feel more at comfort. More at comfort themselves. So.
No, for sure. So that's been a great tip, and I've learned a lot from that, and I'll continue to learn from it.
The other thing I think that you failed to mention there is that part of this happens, in my opinion, naturally with age. I look back to when I was in my early 20s and starting to have kids, and I wasn't calm, cool, collected. Believe me.
Yeah.
I was on edge. I was just wanted to be right and angry if I wasn't right all the time. And the older I've gotten, listen, life and minutes are too precious.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I still get upset about stuff, but we're only here for a short time.
Yeah.
So why spend that time negatively?
Yeah. Whether that's putting too much pressure on yourself.
Sure.
Or putting too much pressure on others, or just try to calm down a bit.
Yeah, honestly,
enjoy yourself.
For me, it's gotten better as I've gotten older. I've been able to relax. I've been able to enjoy my kids more. I've been able to enjoy time with my friends and another family more because I'm not worried about every little thing.
Yeah.
And I've also learned it's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
No matter how hard you try, stuff's just not going to be perfect.
No.
And you have to be okay with that. Now, you can strive for perfection, but, there's only one person who's ever been perfect on this earth.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
I'm not him.
Exactly. No, I think that's super helpful. Hopefully it's super helpful to our audience too. Recently a legend just passed, kind of shifting gears here a bit. And we've got I don't think you can see it completely on our wall, but behind me it says yesterday's hits won't win today's games, which I love that. I love quotes. I love motivation. But we lost a legend in terms of baseball. And, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I actually hate this. I don't hate it, but people will look at my hat and they'll try to spark up a conversation. Hey, you like the Dodgers? Like, no, I just like the hat. I just, but I get why people do that. But anyway, Willie Mays passed away.
Yeah, such a sad story to hear. He was 93 years old. I was brought up on baseball, so it's in my family's fabric. It's in our DNA, right? And so Willie Mays is probably most people would argue the best, most complete player in Major League Baseball history. He could hit. His defense was great. He could steal bases. Just probably all around the best player in the major leagues ever. And so with that, I don't think people realize his impact on baseball. Everybody understands Jackie Robinson, what he did for baseball. But Willie Mays was the first black captain of a baseball team ever.
So they didn't even let Jackie be captain.
No, gosh, no. It was too early on. And so Willie Mays is number 6 on the all-time home run list.
Yeah.
There's only 2 people on there above him that were, I guess, tied up into the whole steroid thing, Alex Rodriguez and Barry Bonds. So you take those 2 out, and he's sitting at number 3, number 4. So again, such a huge loss to the world of baseball, and obviously for his family. He was a legend for sure. And the other thing is, I don't think people realize what he meant to outside of baseball. And what he did from a charity standpoint. He started a charity for kids. Definitely had kids, and it even says in his book how much being around kids and their well-being meant to him. And the reason why is because his father, and he credits his father in his book, held him responsible, made sure he was home every night, made sure that he wasn't out getting in trouble, right, and doing the right thing. Also, he served 2 years in the Army. So, again, the things he did outside of baseball, and that was during his baseball career. Had he not served those 2 years like many baseball players did back then, his stats would have been even crazier. So, and I guess the last legacy he got was probably 86, mid-'80s. The San Francisco Giants basically made him a lifetime assistant to the owner.
Oh, wow.
And so from 1986 until yesterday, he was employed and paid by the Giants and gave advice on what they should do, the game. Again, just a tremendous loss from a baseball standpoint.
It's crazy to me because when I heard about it, the first thing I thought was, wow, I didn't know he was still alive.
Yeah.
And, while that's sad to say, in some sense, shocking to say, why do you think that someone as famous as that, someone with the resume that he has, someone that's done as much that he's done, why is it that when you get up in age, not just him, but also recently Jerry West passed. I knew Jerry West was alive, and but Willie Mays, I did not know he was still alive. And I guess my question is, why do you think when folks are of age that they kind of, they fade into the background so much so that we know about their accolades, but we don't know that they're still living? And maybe I'm in rare form, or maybe it's just my age. I don't know. Did you know he was still alive?
Yeah, so I did, but I'm a baseball fan, right?
Yeah.
So the other part is Willie Mays wasn't flamboyant, wasn't boisterous, right? He was a pretty low key guy.
Okay.
Very down to earth. Of course, I never had the chance to meet him, but I've seen plenty of video and read. But it wasn't always about him. He's actually Barry Bonds, if I'm not mistaken, is godfather.
Oh wow.
Again, he wasn't overly flamboyant and energetic and always out there in front of people. He's pretty low key, very well respected throughout the game. But to your point, let's say an average sports fan who doesn't follow baseball every day, it doesn't surprise me because he wasn't always in the news, and many people probably thought he passed years ago.
Yeah.
And to your point about the older generation, I think that's something, and every generation probably says something like this, but we're not good at, or we should do more to learn from the older generation.
Yeah, to celebrate them while they're alive.
Well, and that's the problem, right? So we'd love to celebrate people after they pass.
Yeah, did
right?
the MLB, have they recently done anything in his honor, or really, hey, this guy's still alive and he's a freaking great?
Yeah, so I mean, the city of San Francisco, the Giants themselves have done. I mein, he's got a huge statue out in front of the stadium. This year, Willie Mays wore number 24. So on, I want to say it was April 24th of every year, it's going to be Willie Mays Day.
Okay.
So they did celebrate him while he was alive, definitely. But that's partly because of who he was. He was a star baseball player.
Yeah.
What we don't do is celebrate. Unfortunately, I don't feel like we celebrate our elders
in general
until they're gone.
Right.
And then, and I can talk to this about my mom.
Yeah.
I don't, of course I talked about my mom while she was alive, but, it made me realize just who she was and what I've forgotten to share with everybody about her until she died.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Do you think that that's the way it's? I don't know. Is it unfortunate? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it, because when I think about my dad and how much I talked to him or didn't talk to him before he, in the years while he was still healthy and all that. And of course he died kind of all of a sudden, over the course of a couple months. But in talking to him, now when I look back, I don't know. I guess I'm torn, because when I think about Willie Mays, and if he was a low key guy and he didn't want to be all out there, then maybe he was happy or complete with the amount of notoriety or attention he got. Because sometimes people don't want too much attention.
Sure.
So that's one thing. And then I think about my dad. It's like, we talked. We had good conversations. When we were done talking, we got off the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you feel like with your mom and the passing, of course you miss her, and of course you wish you could have talked more or even celebrated her more, but as you look back on it, do you feel like it's when you think about legacy, because I feel like this is a conversation about legacy, like, do you feel like you did what you could?
So I don't think you ever feel, once you lose somebody, I don't think you ever feel like you did enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that's, you missed opportunities. I could go back if I wanted to beat myself up every day and list opportunities where I could have done something different for my mom.
Yeah.
Or spent more time with her, or whatever it may be, right? But I think that's just natural.
Yeah.
I once you've lost somebody, but there are, I guess, some things that because you didn't do them, you look at them now and and I'll bring up an example. And I told you this story, but about 3 weeks ago, I was cleaning out an old car that was getting ready to junk, and in the glove box, I was pulling all the paperwork. Everybody's got all their paperwork, and I found a card from my mom who died, almost 3 years ago. Opened the card, and I've been having some tough times just with some other things going on. But anyhow, I open up the card, and it's a Father's Day card from her from 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Wow.
That for some reason I hadn't opened. And now I'm so glad I hadn't, because I needed it more 3 weeks ago than I needed it 6 years ago when she gave it to me.
Wow.
And, of course, you open it and she says how proud she is, how good of a dad she thought I was. And again, so sometimes there's those missed opportunities that come back and can be a blessing, I guess.
That's so powerful. Wow. That, and I know we talked about this, but as you talk about it again now, it's like, that is super powerful. The way you said it, you needed it more 3 weeks ago than what you needed it probably in 2018 or 2017 or whenever it was actually written to you.
Absolutely.
That's just really cool.
And I
really
think
neat.
so. I like to think that she's looking down, smiling, laughing, going, "Yeah, see, Mom always knows best, right?"
Yeah.
And she proved it, right?
So when we trying to tie this back, into everything that we've been talking about. So when we think about business and how we approach business and how we're anxious at times, and entrepreneurship, you get anxious, you want everything to work out. You think about our older generation, and there's people die every day. Like,
Sure.
That's the reality of it. You don't feel it. It doesn't hurt as, I'm sad that Willie Mays passed, in a sense, mostly because I didn't know he was still alive. And I'm like, I want to celebrate what this guy accomplished, but his family is probably, no doubt, really feeling, the pain of that passing. And I bring all that up to say, you tell this story about your mom and how certain things, have affected you now, that you need it now versus when it was actually done for you. And so all these things are going on in all of our lives, especially if you're a business person and you're trying to, get things going for yourself, or you're trying to do more than what you've maybe done, or you're trying to make that next sale. I mean, what is your advice to people when you've got all of this? Like, life is not, it's not just you at work, even though when you're at work, it feels like it. And it's not just you at home. Even when you're at home, it's like, and then they're competing with each other a lot. Your work life and your home life is sometimes at conflict. Like, what's your advice to people at your age and your position now? Not everyone's lost their parents yet.
Yeah.
What would you say to people about how to balance it all?
So I guess first off, I'd say, I'm 48 years old. It's never too late to start, right? I think people look and they go, oh, I'm 50 or I'm 40 or I'm, even I'm 30. I'm too old to. It's never too late to start. If you've got a dream, if you got an idea, you got to do it.
Yeah,
you got to do it, because you don't want to be 30 years old and then my age going, wow, I wish I would have started it 20 years ago, which is what I did.
Yeah.
But to your other point, as an entrepreneur, all of this other stuff is going on. It's always going. You're always going to have personal stuff. You're always going to have business stuff. You can't let the highs get too high, and you can't get the lows get too low, right? I mean, you got to kind of to ride it out in the middle there.
Yeah.
And I think when I was younger, I would let the highs get too high. I'd celebrate, but then when the lows hit,
Down in the dumps.
it was bad, right? So I think that's probably one of my best pieces of advice is you just gotta, every day is something new. And literally every day is something new. And whether it be personal or from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding, but it's so much harder than I actually thought it was going to be before starting, a company.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. And I think, that's what this podcast is about is that journey. Is that it's gonna be up, it's gonna be down. It's sometimes gonna be looking at anxious about this, what you could do, and then at some point you're gonna look back and say, you know what, that's not a big deal.
I agree, and so the other part to this is having a partner in crime as you're going through some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like we bounce stuff off each other all the time, right?
Right.
That helps.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you see a different perspective, I think, number one. But number two, it could bring up something that you've never thought about. You and I were talking about a situation a couple weeks ago, and you go, I didn't know that. And I said, and this is why. And you go, makes sense.
Yeah.
So learning and sharing of information is huge. And I would say the other part, and I think you brought it up on a different podcast, is, we have competition. Why not learn from what others are doing?
Right.
We've got enough stuff on our plate. We don't need to bash something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why not learn and share if needed?
No, absolutely. No, that's good. And I think it's hopefully folks that are watching can learn that when you go through the ups and downs of life and the ups and downs of entrepreneurship in general, that you learn how to stay as even keel as you possibly can. It's not, you're not saying don't celebrate. You're not saying don't be sad. But sometimes if you can have some stability within yourself, it can help when it's really bad.
Yeah.
When you really are depressed, or when you really want to just go over the top, and maybe at those times, like I told you when it happened, maybe the divine, the providential nature of God allowed that card to be where you needed it to be at that very moment.
For real.
And but if you just going through the journey of life and everything you're going through, continuing to step forward, it's like when it's too much for you, something else will step in to give you a little courage to keep going. But you got to start to get to those places. You have to, because it's interesting, because you and I know this personally, but some of your business stuff that you've got going on with the different cars and stuff that we've participated in, probably if you didn't have that other entrepreneurial stuff going on, you probably wouldn't have forgot about that card, or you probably would be in that car more, or you probably would have cleaned it out earlier. But because you're on this entrepreneurial journey, as well as living your day-to-day life, it's like, oh, I forgot about that. And I'm tying that together because I think it ties back into what you said. If you get going, you may not know where the help is going to come from, but when you least expect it, the help will come if you've started taking those steps.
It will. And I guess I'll leave you with this as something my mom said to me while I was going through a divorce, which, lost my job, got laid off, got told I was going to be going through a divorce, right? And of course, all this stuff's hitting. You're thinking it's the worst thing in the world. I'm getting divorced. I'm losing my job. And she said to me, because I kept saying, I just want it all to be over, or I just, and this is true for business, I just want this to happen.
Yeah.
She said to me, God will make it happen in just the right amount of time. Not too soon, not too late. He'll make it happen when it's supposed to happen. And so again, I thought losing a job and going through a divorce were the two worst things ever. Turns out losing a family member, a parent, is worse, right? So again, I think tying that into business, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen in time.
Yeah.
We can wish and we can have anxiety and worry about it happening when we want it to happen, but our timelines aren't the ones that always get followed, right?
Exactly.
So just, I think to lower anxiety, to lower stress, and it's always going to happen at some level, but to help bring it down, understand that there's a process. and it'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, well, the old black church would say, he may not come when you want him to.
Yeah.
But he'll be there right on time.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
It really is. So.
Yeah, no, that's encouraging. Look, we're out of time. We would love to talk to you more, but I think hopefully there's so many gems here that we gotta get back and talk more about some of these things, because the journey of life is full of ups and downs. And I love the quote behind us still: yesterday's hits won't win today's games. I mean, you got to keep going. You got to keep hitting. You got to keep being productive. But all throughout that, kind of relax a little bit. It's a journey. It's a roller coaster. There's going to be ups. There's going to be downs. And things will happen when they're supposed to happen. You just do all that you know to do and keep going. Any final thoughts?
No, I think that sums it up great. So
all right.
Appreciate you having me, and definitely got to do this again.
All right. Until next time, y'all, stay motivated. It's your boy, StephenMotivate. Peace.